Episode 5. New Beginnings, Pressing Deadlines. It was a sunny Saturday afternoon when Jessica heard the excited chatter of her sisters outside the front door. She rushed to the door, a rare smile lighting up her face as she opened it to see the trio of her younger siblings tumbling in with their suitcases. They looked slightly sun-kissed, evidence of weeks spent enjoying the countryside with their grandmother. "Jessie!" they chorused, flinging themselves into her arms. For a moment the house seemed alive with warmth, the tension that had plagued Jessica's heart momentarily forgotten. The joy was short-lived when their father's booming voice echoed from the living room. "Why are you all shouting? Go to your rooms!" The girls stiffened, muttering apologies, and hurried away. Jessica sighed, her temporary relief fading into the background as she returned to the kitchen to prepare dinner for the family. The next week, Jessica immersed herself in her training at the Fashion Designing Center. Months of dedicated practice had paid off. She was no longer a beginner fumbling with fabrics and stitches. Her instructor, Madame Gloria, frequently praised her determination and eye for design. "Jessica, this sketch is exceptional," Madame Gloria said one afternoon, holding up a vibrant dress design. "You have a real talent for this. Don't let anything stop you." Jessica smiled shyly. Despite her progress, she never shared her personal struggles with anyone at the center. She focused on mastering advanced techniques, learning how to use complex sewing machines, and experimenting with patterns. She had already started making simple outfits for her sisters, who proudly wore them whenever they went out. At home, things were more complicated. Her father's temper was as volatile as ever, and her mother was still trying to stay sober. The return of her sisters added more responsibilities to Jessica's plate. She had to help them with homework, manage the household chores, and ensure her mother took her recovery seriously. Adding to the weight was the fact that Jessica's university entrance exam was now less than a month away. Every evening after a long day at the training center, Jessica sat at her desk, poring over her books. The clock ticked loudly as if mocking her dwindling time. One night, as she flipped through a particularly difficult mathematics problem, her youngest sister crept into the room. "Jessie, are you tired?" Jessica glanced up and forced a smile. "No, not tired. Just trying to solve this." Her sister climbed onto the bed and whispered, "When you go to the university, who will take care of us?" Jessica froze. The question struck her like a blow. She closed her book and hugged her sister tightly. "Don't worry. I'll always take care of you no matter where I am." A few days later, Jessica's father unexpectedly called her to the dining room after dinner. He looked serious, but for once his tone wasn't harsh. "Your exams are close, Jessica. Don't fail. And about this fashion training, make sure it's worth all the time you've been putting into it," he said gruffly. Jessica nodded, shocked by the lack of criticism. She dared to hope that maybe he was starting to recognize her efforts. However, the moment was fleeting. Her father immediately turned his attention back to his Bible and accounting books. That night, as Jessica lay in bed, her mind swirled with thoughts. She had come so far in her journey, but there was still so much to do. Her training had given her a taste of independence, and she was more determined than ever to build a future where she could support her mother and sisters. Looking at the calendar on the wall, she circled the date of her exam. "I'll pass this," she whispered to herself, "and when I do, it'll be the first step toward getting us all out of this house." The next day, Jessica returned from her training center to find her mother sitting in the living room, tears streaming down her face. The TV was on, but the volume was low and her father was nowhere to be seen. "What happened, Mama?" Jessica asked, kneeling beside her. Her mother hesitated, then whispered, "Your father. He's planning something. Something big." Jessica's heart sank. "What do you mean?" But her mother shook her head, refusing to elaborate. Jessica felt a chill run down her spine. Whatever her father was planning, it couldn't be good. The weight of responsibility pressed down on her more than ever as she realized that time was running out to secure her family's freedom.